So if configuration management is a mystery wrapped in an enigma, sit back and listen. I'm about to tell you exactly what it is. And frankly, if you remember, whenever I mention the term configuration management, you think version control, you won't be far from the truth. Let's have a look. First of all, do you remember when we looked at Perform Integrated Change Control, one of the tools was Change Control Tools. I'm suggesting here that the configuration management process that's implemented on your project, along with other things such as templates, is in fact one of the change control tools. Indeed, I would say that configuration management is mandatory on every project. It needs to be done in some way or another. If you're a small family car repair shop in your neighbourhood, you would want to have reference to all the service manuals of cars that come in. You'd want to keep records of what work you've done on what cars and when. You'd want information on the types and models of the various replacement parts that you order, and so on and so forth. At its minimum, configuration management system for a small family shop or business might be a filing cabinet in the corner, and the top drawer contains all those references I've just mentioned. So configuration management contains the processes and procedures that support integrated change control. It covers all control project items, and that means documentation like management documents, certainly the project management plan, as well as the products within the project. Go back to our old friend change request. I want to show you how the configuration management and change requests are very closely related to each other. In fact, change requests, I would say, is a subset of configuration management. Do you remember there was a configuration management plan? Well, as part of that plan, it should lay out exactly how change requests should be managed. So I'm suggesting here, whenever a change request is raised, forget for a moment about the processes that we've been looking at within the pmbok guide. Just think about this as being a system. You would want to enter and update configuration management records whenever a change request is raised. Assess the impact of the change against the configuration management baselines. As part of the change control process, we'd either accept or otherwise, and in any case, update the configuration management if that makes good sense. If the answer is no, inform those involved, and the answer is take no action. Can you see how this is very closely aligned to the previous slides when I told you exactly how change control should work? But now, of course, what we're saying is configuration management records play a key role in how that data is captured and updated, hence being a tool for Perform Integrated Change Control. If the answer is yes, you still need to inform the person who raised it in the first place. Update plans, of course, and then implement the change, and then update the baselines. Where are the baselines stored? In your configuration management system. Don't worry, I'm about to tell you what we mean by that and what sort of actions are necessary. So configuration management, identifying the characteristics of the products and components, and controlling and documenting changes to verify that requirements are met. This is why this is a tool. So what are the activities? Well, some large words coming up here, but don't worry about it. Configuration identification. For each product, management or specialist product, a record is raised called a configuration item record. Much like you having a birth certificate when you were born, giving information of your mother and father, date of birth, so on. One for each project product. But this configuration item record is more than just a birth certificate. Remember, as you've gone through life, you've gathered other records from local authorities like your dental records, your employment records, and so on and so forth. All of this goes into a configuration item record, so it tells the history of each individual product, and it forms a part of the configuration management library. It describes the characteristics of the product in a clear, accurate and complete manner. It's used as a baseline reference against which to verify when changes are made and how they're managed. Let's just pause for a moment, in case you think I'm just talking about a bureaucratic system. Let me think up a few horror stories that might ring bells with you, or at least other folks that you know that have had similar problems. Imagine you're an engineer working on a product, or about to, and you've gone to someone and asked, have you got the specification document for this so that I can build it? Let's call it a widget for the want of a better word. You want to build a widget, can you give me the specification or even a plan or dimensions if it's a physical thing? And they give you a piece of paper saying here it is, and you go away and you spend 2 months creating it. Only to find later on that they gave you an old version and you've just wasted 2 or 3 months of time and you're now well behind schedule. Not a good situation to be in. Configuration management will have been the place to have asked that question, and they would know absolutely what the latest version is, because of course they do version control. What if you see a group of fellow engineers modifying an existing product? Who gave them permission? Should they be modifying it? Again, I'm not talking about being a whistleblower here, but merely that configuration management helps control whether changes should be made or otherwise. How about this one? What if an engineer comes to you, the project manager, and says, have you got a copy of the specification document for product X? And you go, yes, I know who did it. Mike did it. Go and see Mike and he'll give you a copy of it. And you go to Mike's desk only to be told that Mike has left the company several months ago and his desk was cleared out and they have no idea where the specification for product X has gone. Could you see what a crisis that could cause in your project? I'm sure you can. So back to today, and here we are, configuration identification. Would you agree that having a configuration item record showing the latest data for every single product would be an absolute lifesaver in those horror stories I've just invented? Although I say invent, I've seen a few of them happen in my real world. Configuration status accounting. Another highfalutin name, but basically it's again to do with the configuration item record. It shows the true current status for every product, including any changes that it's gone through, showing how the product was updated and documenting and storing the information needed to manage the product information. So there's two absolutely valuable services, I think you'd agree. Continuing, configuration, verification and auditing. Another bunch of words, but think about this. Configuration management as a service perform these audits. Configuration management will actually perform these audits, usually upon request from a project manager, to determine if the functional requirements have been met. It's a safety check and you shouldn't feel threatened by this. At the end of a phase, calling for configuration management to do an audit to check that all of the products that you've created within that phase are indeed complete, they might find out that one of them isn't. Wouldn't it be better to find that out so you can fix it rather than go on to the next stage only to find that you're in deep trouble? They confirm the true status information by comparing what the records say and comparing it to the actual status. So I think this is a great service. It should be done with a smile on everyone's face, because if they find out something that you've forgotten, I'd shake them by the hand and thank them, because I can quickly fix that rather than carry on further and it turn into a real crisis. So what's the purpose of having a configuration management system? Well, they're documented procedures that describe the processes for submitted change requests, tracking changes, processes for definition of approval levels, who can approve or deny any such changes, the process for authorizing the changes. Do you remember we had organizational process assets? This might be one of them. And the change control system, along with templates and guidance. And the purpose is to describe product characteristics along with its status. So, will you be asked to have any more detailed information on configuration management? No. But I hope the last 3 slides have taken away any fear of that long, awful sounding phrase, configuration management, and to see that you really should, on your current and future projects, make sure that configuration management is applied in a most appropriate way on all of your projects. And also, I'd like to close by saying that change control, how it works, and the perform integrated change control process within the PMBOK guide should be closely aligned with this, and indeed this should be seen along with change control and its processes as an important tool.